I'm Erica Hollingsworth, and you're listening to the F1 podcast.
What's up, everyone? It is Richie here from the F1 podcast, season 6, episode 6. I'm here with Andrew and Erica, recording this couple of days after the Chinese Grand Prix, where Kimi Antonelli becomes the latest driver to win a race. Andrew, Erica, so much to impact this weekend. Also, first sprint this past weekend we watched. Let's get started. No, we had Australia. Now we're in China. It is our first sprint of the 2026 season. Um, we saw some action packed from the start. A poor start caused Antonelli to drop down in the field, while Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc was able to push up. The McLarens capitalized an opportunity heading to turn one. Kind of, this is kind of, we kind of saw some of this jump starting. We talked about it earlier, but overall thoughts on the sprint race on Saturday.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was so entertaining. I am loving this George, Lewis, Kimi action that we're seeing at the front of the grid where everyone is. It reminded me of a few years ago when we were seeing with I think it was like Lewis and Verstappen, like the DNS chicken at a few of the races where they would just like alternate who would overtake at the end of a stretch. And it's sorry, not DNS, DRS overtake. But I don't know, like I know it's a short race and obviously things have played out very different on the race day on Sunday by comparison, but it kind of I don't know, just I used to not like the sprint races and this has really been firing me up.
Well, especially with the new regs, I think the new regs really bode well for sprint racing, right? In terms of battery deployment, being able to boost in such a short period of time, you really have to use as much battery power as you can in order to score well in the sprint races. I'm finding that like when we like transition to the race, we're seeing a lot of action in the first like third of it, and then it kind of dies down a little bit with then pit stop strategies, but then towards the end there is some action as well. So we're kind of getting that first third in the sprint overall. So it is exciting. I think the regs do bode well for the sprint racing, but it's clearly a 1-2 comparison right now where it's Ferrari versus McLaren, I mean Mercedes, and everyone
I
else
wish.
is
I wish.
Still early, still early.
yeah, it's just Ferrari versus Mercedes, and then it's everybody else behind them.
Well, and you did talk about that Ferrari versus Mercedes because we even did see a little bit about that. Is Antonelli received a 10-second penalty for his collision with Isaac Hadjar, and then
Who
despite
was
having,
pissed?
yeah,
Like he did not accept any of Antonelli's apology after the race there, and I was like, "Ooh, dude!" Like man was mad.
but like you know, also having Nico Hulkenberg, stalling, triggering the safety car allowed Antonelli to pit for new tires. It still was able to come back to fifth.
It's showing that there's still, I think, a bit more hustle in a few of the cars than we've expected. Obviously, in a sprint to Andrew, like to your point, that's where all of the action's really happening and the longevity of some of these cars is still being figured out with the new regulations, I think. But it it's really, I don't know, I've been very surprised by how poor some of the starts have been, even from some of the veteran drivers. And so it's really showing that as much as people, we're seeing that Mercedes dominance, we're seeing Ferrari really pull ahead, it still comes down to the talent of the drivers in a lot of ways. They're maybe able to make some great moves through the field and the car carries them the end of the distance, but if that little bit of talent, experience, coolness under pressure isn't there, people aren't necessarily going to be showing up at the front of the grid like we might expect them to do. I feel like it's kind of bringing all the pieces of the puzzle together right now in a very interesting way.
And I think like, we saw a couple of good finishes for some teams. I mean, Ollie Behrman continuing his points in the sprint. Liam Lawson getting points for racing Red Bulls RB card Racing Bulls Red Bull Ford. Sorry, that's gonna be
I
that's a
never
tongue
know how
twister.
to say it. It's too much.
It's a tongue twister for me. And then you had some good jumps. I mean, I'm looking at some of this. Like, yeah, Liam Lawson coming from grid 13th to 7th. Ollie Behrman staying, ninth to eighth. I mean, even we'll talk about the Alpines a little bit more on Sunday's race. But overall, I think, good kind of transition into Sunday. And so, I guess, am I missing anything other than three DNFs? Or we had the collision damage for for Lindblad. Valtteri Bottas withdrew, and then Hulkenberg had a mechanical issue. But I guess let's go right into Sunday's race.
Aston Martin finished the race. Technically, yeah. Subtle victories.
Do a barrel roll.
I don't know how you want me to respond to that.
You don't need to.
I think no
It's
response
embarrassing
is
enough
an
as it is.
appropriate
Yeah,
response.
exactly.
Let's
It's
talk about.
embarrassing enough that I actually have to celebrate this crap.
But I guess from the new to the old Mercedes, like this Kimi, George, Lewis train, whatever you want, or how we would say what would not Nico Hulkenberg, what would Toto Wolff say? I got three Mercedes drivers up there now.
I mean, also based on social media, he almost kind of has a fourth because he gave Valtteri Bottas a ride home afterward, didn't he?
He did give Kimi a ride home, which I find hilarious too. Qualifying was quite interesting. I would say, shout out to Kimi. He was able to secure pole, youngest ever to do that, just 19 years old. Ferrari, P3, P4, I think it was in terms of qualification, but I think we really need to focus in on how bad Red Bull are. And it's kind of
Oh,
shocking in a way. They are horrendous to start this season.
it's kind of crazy. Like we're used to seeing Max even in subpar machinery at least come in the front row or like top four or something like that. But for him to be what, P7 he was at
Oh,
this
he's used P9 to start the race. P8 or P9.
P8.
P8, yeah, it's saying here that's I don't think we've seen that unless he's had some kind of catastrophic issue during qualifying, right? Like it's kind of wild that, just doing your best is that where it's getting you. And I'm sure Hadjar all excited with, opportunity in this Racing Bull, Red Bull, blah. He's probably he probably feels how George felt when he came to Mercedes a few years ago, of like, this is not the car that I was promised.
But not only that, but you also had four cars that started in the pit lane, or well, two ended up starting because the other two, McLaren, didn't even
Uh,
put their cars out for the weekend. Even
Oh
making a
my
comment from
God.
Zach Brown from across in the States. I think he was at the IndyCar race Arlington
Yeah,
making a
he was at
comment.
the Arlington GP this weekend.
And then he said that at least my cars can start, or hopefully my cars can start this weekend, compared to, I guess, because obviously China just finished or something. So he looked pretty relaxed there, but I wouldn't say he's relaxed after this weekend. Is that fair to say, Erica?
yeah, I mean, considering that I've done as many laps of an F1 race this
So
season
have
as
I.
Oscar
So have I.
Piastri,
So have you, John. We've
like,
all done.
I wouldn't say I'm feeling great about any of it right now. I mean, here's the thing that I find interesting. Obviously, there is a little bit of gumption in this car because to finish P5 and P6 in qualifying when we know this is not the best piece of machinery is promising. It's been I saw a little bit more excitement off the start in the sprint race from what we saw last weekend. Because last weekend it was like watching molasses going down a hill, seeing those two cars start at the beginning of the Australian Grand Prix. Well, one of them, because one of them did not start that race. But yeah, I was really kind of sad because it was looking like promising. Like maybe we'd see a little bit more action, or at least for the first half of the race, a bit more of competitive spirit coming from the McLarens. But for neither of them to start is quite frankly shocking. I know every year with new regulations, we do see reliability issues and all kinds of stuff, but I feel like across the board, it's not usually when I think of reliability issues, it's been people starting the race and in the last like 10, 15 laps, something happens and the car gives out. I've never felt like there's so much of an issue with people simply participating, which has
Mhm.
happened across the board in both the sprint and the race this weekend.
So hear this stat. Their non-start made this the first time both McLarens, who as a constructor recorded their 1,000 entry in this Grand Prix, did not start the race since, and that is dating back to the 2005 United States Grand Prix, which, if you guys remember that Grand Prix, was famous where 14 cars on Michelin tires withdrew due to tire safety concerns. That's a pretty significant stat for McLaren to kind of be part of already, like to start the season. Like, and this is, Lando Norris. This is your your champion from last year.
This is the guy we're all supposed to be watching, right? He's the incumbent for this championship, and it's almost as if he like if this were the NBA, he may as well have torn his ACL in the offseason or something like that. Like that's the kind of stuff we're seeing right now. Be like, oh yeah, no, he's not really gonna be there. He'll be there, but he won't really be doing anything. He'll be on the bench, like recovering. That's how I feel about it. And it's absolutely brutal because we've seen this slow momentum building over the last couple years with McLaren, and for it to be essentially wiped out, I'm not gonna lie, feels a little bit shocking in a way because so many other teams have either kept the momentum or built upon it, like we've seen with both Ferrari and Mercedes compared to last year. But then again, Red Bull's in the same position where we had not a great car last year, but still fairly competitive. Max was winning races, putting pressure on the championship, and it's like the rug's just been pulled out from under everyone. So
I still,
I don't know. I'm gonna start cheering for Papaya the fruit instead of Papaya the F1 team if things don't change in a little
I,
bit.
I won't lie.
You
I
lose.
still can't get over why they're called McLaren Mercedes. Why couldn't they just be kept McLaren? I'm
Well,
literally looking at,
because of the engine that they're using.
so I guess that was the agreement. We're just gonna slap Mercedes on the
Yeah,
team.
yeah, unfortunately that's the case. But funny enough, speaking of Mercedes, right? I think McLaren are going to be issuing a formal investigation as to why the engine kind of did not want to work on Sunday. And I think like the going around is feeling in the paddock there is that Mercedes is withholding information from them in terms of being able to perform. But guess what? That's what you get when you buy out, when you buy a quote unquote third party engine, right? You know what I mean? They're not, it's your competitor. They're not going to give you any information other than what they need to.
Well, and that's exactly it. Part of it is Mercedes has had this engine for longer. They have more data and information at their fingertips because they built it. And McLaren was getting this, once they'd kind of perfected it and figured it out a little bit. So maybe I know there was the question raised on the broadcast of whether it's a chassis thing, right? Like maybe Mercedes has optimized the chassis to work with this engine, whereas McLaren got it a little bit later, and the chassis is not necessarily working in unison with it as we'd like. And that's a super valid point to bring up because McLaren hasn't had the same amount of time, data, whatever, to really put this through. Also, everybody say hi to Ollie.
We
Sub
love
Ulster.
Ollie.
Ulster, Ollie's the best.
Any
What
thoughts? No.
I
Okay.
guess
No,
I should ask Ollie, or I should ask the team, was this Hamilton's best weekend at Ferrari since he's joined?
1000%. I
In
mean, his first podium as like under Ferrari, he looked really consistent all weekend, really doing like had a great battles there on Sunday. And I think the common trend we're going to be start seeing is that, the way that Ferrari's able to get off the line, they're going to be 1-2 come the end of the first lap. And it's just a matter of Mercedes and being able to fight back for position in that case. So it's we're starting to see some themes out here with regards to the season, and I'm honestly really enjoying the Ferrari versus Mercedes battle, and to think that it's not just like in the past, right? We've seen when we have like two team battles, we're seeing it's Max versus Valtteri and Lewis, but now it's kind of like we have two drivers on both teams that are equally competitive, equally capable to like defend and attack. So it's been really fun just watching the top four just, battle it out.
It's a 2v2 Mario Party board.
literally whoever has the blue
Absolute
shell.
carnage, but you're on teams.
They might as well just make it Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, I, yeah, that's my stuff. I asserted dominance over my coworkers on that one last week. So
Throw in the 150cc for the Mushroom Cup and we're good to go.
200, come on, let's go.
I think we need to do like our next event for Toronto. We have to go to like a bar or like an arcade bar and just like absolutely rip some Mario Kart. I think that is I'm totally in. Z80 or where did you go the other day?
We went to Free Play,
Free
which
Play
is on
College and Spadina.
College.
Yeah, College and
Yeah.
Spadina. I really like that place. So uh I think we're gonna have to put it in the chat. I think we're gonna have to do a fan meetup. Another one.
Would you like me to hand your ass to you in Mario Kart Double Dash? Put it in the comments.
I will love to see it. But I won't. It was pretty interesting to see that. I won't lie. It was getting a little tense watching the Lewis and Charles. I was like battling on some of those straights and in those turns. But it's, who's it's going to be a competition all year, I guess, between those two.
But it's a clean race though between
Yeah.
the two of them because of how well they are in terms of racecraft and how, the quality of drivers. So that's what makes it really exciting is that they understand the rules, but they're really to go tire to tire or wheel to wheel, but not crash.
And
I
I
think
find there's not as much like complaining on the radio over what anyone's doing as we've heard in the past of like,
I mean, in fairness, when the
still early,
car is
still
a
early.
good, when the car's good, no one really complains, or you'd hope not, unless you're Max, because Max is just a perfectionist in that regards.
this is true.
Uh, I really loved hearing the Italian national anthem. It felt weird, like it was not the Ferrari constructors' Italian national anthem, but also like having Bono up there, like just it was kind of get emotional at 3 in the morning. No, I didn't watch it at 3 in the morning Eastern time. I watched it in the morning, but it was a really special podium, and I think some say it was probably the best podium in F1 history, but I'll leave that up to
A
people to
bold
debate.
claim,
I don't know.
but
Wasn't there Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso one
Canada
from
and
Canada?
Adrian Newey.
Yeah, I would say
That was
that
pretty
is
good.
to me that is the most prolific
Or
podium.
Schumacher, Alonso, and Raikkonen.
oh
That was
yes.
Oh, speaking of Raikkonen, I did you hear that the announcement that they
They
made
said
for
Kimmy, yeah,
yeah, they said the winner was Kimi Raikkonen. I just was like, wait, what? Double check that.
he's
Iceman like awakens from his little dirt bike track in his backyard or whatever, and is like, me?
No, he came from his yacht in Monaco, and he's like, yeah, I'll just show up for the race.
just Kimi Antonelli just goes, it's me.
Yeah, it was me all along. Little face-off action.
Um, okay, so we talked about Aston Martin, not a good weekend. Alpine 6th and 10th respectfully. We did talk about this as a team to kind of watch, but double points for them. I think, car looks good for them. I think they could be happy about that. Liam Lawson coming 7th. Ollie Behrman, let's be honest, looking really nice.
Mhm.
5th. He's sitting 5th in the Drivers' Championship right now for points. So you have George Russell 51, Kimi Antonelli 47, Charles Leclerc 34, Lewis Hamilton 33, and then Ollie Behrman 17. Constructors is a little bit of gap is wider, I would say. Mercedes 96, Ferrari 67, McLaren Mercedes 18, Haas Ferrari 17, Red Bull Racing Red Bull Ford 12 is where we're standing after China.
Like Red Bull is a midfield team right now.
That cuts like a knife. Oh,
Yeah.
And I'm
I
thinking
don't think anyone's really said that since the inception of the team, if we're honest.
yeah, Isaac Hadjar has, what is it, 4 points? Well, Verstappen still has 8 points, so it's still very much go. Fantasy though, uh,
Fantasy.
I had a wonderful jump.
Yeah,
I
I'm angry at
because
you.
you use your triple boost.
Hey, you know what, Erica? I gave you the heads up that you could change. I was very nice about it.
I did make some changes. I am leading the fantasy pool at work. Thank you very much. So I'm not terrible.
You guys using your triple boost this week.
It
I
was.
didn't use
I
my
had
triple
to.
boost.
I
Oh, sorry,
had
not you.
to.
I'm talking about John.
I had
Oh.
to. I was 7th. What do you want me to do?
Have some respect. Just kidding.
But of the three of us, yeah, Jono, you've catapulted to the front. So as much as there was a 7 point difference between you and I last weekend, Now it's a 7 point difference between you and Cleary, but you have taken the lead with 549 points. Cleary sitting just behind you at 542. And then I am at 481,
That's
just a
okay.
little bit
Plenty
behind.
of time.
But hey, you know what? I was able to switch for George, and as much as, he wasn't the big winner this weekend, I did 2x him, he still did quite well.
Hmm.
So I'm not exactly complaining about any of this. So we'll see what happens as we go to Japan for the next race.
We got a couple of our friends that are going to Suzuka. I think that would definitely one track to really would love to go to. I think it's pretty reasonably affordable as well. I heard China and it was an affordable race to go to as well. So
I think for some of these are just a bit more difficult for a lot of the fans to get to, so it's cheaper to be
logistical.
at the race, but it's more expensive to, like get there and do the thing. So,
I guess any last comments of this weekend for China? Go ahead, Andrew.
Let's say shout out to our guy Daniel Valente on Twitter, or sorry, X at F1 Guy Dan. He had the tweet of the week, in my opinion. He tweeted out after Kimi won the race. He goes, in Kimi Antonelli's lifetime, he's never seen Italy advance out of the group stage in the World Cup, but he's seen one Italian driver win in Formula One race
You
himself.
lose.
Oof.
Oof.
That's a good
that's
tweet.
that's a big oof.
And like World Cup qualifiers are next week, so I think so. I don't even know if Italy will make it out of make it to the World Cup. We'll find out. So
Which is just crazy to think he wasn't even alive in '06 when they won it. Right? Like, you're just kind of like, oh my God, I'm that old.
No, no, really?
Well, he's
Oh, I
19.
guess if he's 19.
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't piece that together until you just said it. I was like, oh, haha. And
So that is this week's episode of the F1 podcast. Thank you so much, Erica and Andrew. A lot to dissect. Congratulations on Kimi Antonelli on winning your first F1 race. Really exciting to kind of see what some of the storylines are going to go into Japan. I know some regulations are in discussions, so tune in next week as we'll probably preview the Japanese Grand Prix. So stay tuned, and as always, make sure to follow us on social media. Next fan meetup, just stay tuned. We're going to be working on some of those details. And I guess I'll talk to you guys next week about Japan.
hasta luego.
See ya.